To quote Charles Darwin, "It is the long history of humankind that those who learned to collaborate and to improvise most effectively have prevailed." Dorothy Francis's purpose in life has been to help people to collaborate with others to achieve the goals of their communities. To many of us, the co-op may be a local supermarket or possibly even a funeral director's. But the cooperative movement is very much more than that. And Dorothy, as Chief Executive of CASE, the Cooperative and Social Enterprise Development Agency in Leicestershire, has made an outstanding contribution to the movement. A movement so diverse, it extends from retail to community energy, from farming to football, from social care to no landlord student housing. There are over 7,000 independent cooperatives in the UK, providing employment for 235,000 people with a combined turnover of £36 billion. The defining characteristic of them all, whether they are called cooperatives or social enterprises, is that they are owned and run by their members. Dorothy recognises two particularly important influences in her life. The first is her mother, whom she describes as a brave woman who made the 5,000-mile journey from the Caribbean to follow her husband to England, leaving behind her children, who later joined her, and friends and family in search of a better life, and who believed that the key to a better life was education. The thought of her mother has been a constant inspiration to Dorothy when things have been tough. Thanks to her mother's support and encouragement, Dorothy had a successful school career. With a decent set of O-levels, the possibility of training as a nurse beckoned. This was the 1970s. What could be a more suitable career for a young black woman? Here the second important influence, and a lot of chance, came into play. Though only 16, Dorothy had left home with very little idea of what she would do or where she would live. She went for advice to the Coventry Race Relations Council, and it was the advisor on the desk that day, a Mr. Stennett, who took her under his wing, helped her to find somewhere to stay, and with immense persistence overcame her assumption that working-class black girls don't do A-levels. Dorothy's path from then on was certainly not smooth, but this was a turning point. And 3 A-levels, a degree in English, 2 teaching qualifications, and membership of the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development, achieved through part-time study as a single parent, have followed. Chance also played a part in Dorothy's discovery of the cooperative movement. Plans to train as a social worker had received a setback when some friends asked her to join a cooperative they were setting up to sell books by African, Caribbean and Asian authors. Having nothing better to do, she said yes, and was introduced to this way of working that encompassed democratic control, shared ownership, participation, and a fair return on labour. This brought her into contact with the Coventry Cooperative Development Agency. She was impressed, and a few years later, she applied for a job with its Leicester equivalent, the organisation which she now runs. Many of the hundreds of social businesses whose establishment Dorothy has personally assisted have now been operating successfully for over 30 years and have themselves gone on to win awards. Dorothy's passion for her work and the pleasure she takes in the success of the people she advises shine out. As Mr. Stennett did with her years ago, she will not let people assume that they are not capable of achieving. She is clearly devoted to her own family, and she brings the same commitment to her extended family of co-ops. And this is reciprocated. It's been a huge difference to have someone who can give you impartial advice and to know they've been there. There was always someone there I could talk to, are typical of the many testimonials she has received. Dorothy does not do things by halves. By way of a small example, her favourite book is Pal by the Leicester-based writer Kerry Young. But Dorothy doesn't just recommend the book. As members of her family, many of whom are in the hall today, will confirm, She buys copies of it for her friends and families as gifts, and so makes sure that they can share in her pleasure. Dorothy would like to be remembered as someone who liked to party, laughed a lot, tried her best, and helped others. And that surely is a description which she has fully earned. Her recognition extends far beyond the Leicestershire area. Having worked part-time for her original professional qualification, she is now a companion of the Chartered Management Institute, the highest level awarded by invitation only. In 2016, she received the Queen's Award for Enterprise Promotion Life Achievement Award, something which is given to only one person a year. And in the 2017 New Year's Honours List, she was appointed MBE for services to enterprise and the community. It is high time the university matched these many awards with one of its own highest honours. Mr. Chancellor, on the recommendation of the Senate and the Council, I present Dorothy Elaine Francis that you may confer upon her the Honorary Degree of Doctor of Laws.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so very much for that wonderful round of applause. I'm very honoured. I believe in life, there's nothing like being supported by your family. It means everything. So, my elder daughter said to me yesterday, she said, I've graduated twice, and I can't remember a single word that any of the speech makers have made. So, I hope yours is more memorable, Mom. And I hope that at least one person takes away a message. So, no pressure then. My younger daughter said, Alan Tishmart made a sex joke at my graduation, Mom, and it went down really well. Perhaps you should copy him. I'm not going to tell a sex joke, you'll be glad to know. In fact, I'm going to talk about what many people might see as the very unsexy field of business. I'm delighted to be here to congratulate you on your achievements and to wish you well as you embark on the next stage of your journey. But I'd like to ask you two questions. What do you want to do for the next 50 years? And who do you want to work for? Look at yourselves. You are bright, you are young, you're full of energy. You have much to offer to an employer. But you also have much to offer to yourself in terms of owning and running your own enterprise. Maybe others will tell you that you can't do it, but don't let them. Don't listen to them. Much of my motivation in life has come from proving people wrong. I've taken up that challenge when people have told me that I can't do it because I'm black, because I'm a woman, because I'm working class. I take up that baton and I run with it. I don't let them decide what I can do. I remember a careers advice session at school when I was 15. I sat waiting with my best friend Jane. Two young girls, one black, one white, both predicted high grades at O-levels, dreaming of our future. Jane went first and was advised to take A-levels, to do a degree, and to perhaps consider an MA. When it was my turn, I was advised to apply for a position on the pick and mix counter on Woolworths. If you're above 20, you might remember the pleasures of agonising over that sweetie counter with your 20p pocket money on a Saturday. A great thing when you're a child, but not a career aspiration, perhaps. And I have to assure you that, unfortunately, that is a true story. So I thought, I don't want to work on the pick and mix counter, but that assumption of me, that way that my life was being directed and controlled, woke me up. It was a pivotal moment in my life and a point when I decided that no one's going to make my decisions for me. And the memory of that episode continues to push me to achieve, even to this day, 40 odd years later. I left home when I was 16. I was a headstrong child. My mother set me ground rules. I didn't want to obey them. She said, there's only room for one woman in this house. And so I was out the door. I walked out with everything that I owned in 3 carrier bags. I had no idea where I was going or how I was going to live or what I was going to do, but I had faith that I could make it. I look back now and I'm horrified that I actually left home at such an early age. I was a child, but I had so much self-belief and I believed I could do anything. And I could. And you can too. Sometimes you just need to throw yourself into the abyss. When I was 19, I began seeking a different way to work. I didn't want others to decide what I did every day for the rest of my life. I wanted something different. I knew there must be something different, another way to work, but I didn't know what it was. I had a vision for change in society and a belief that it must be possible to run a business that embraces ethics, principles, integrity, as well as profit, and that way is a cooperative. And I found out about cooperatives almost by chance, and at age 22 I started out in business, and I've worked in business ever since, always within the cooperative movement, because I realised it was what I'd been looking for. If only someone had told me earlier. I went through 3 years of university, and there was never a whisper at any time that I could consider working for myself. And this is one of the reasons why I've worked with the University of Leicester over the last 10 years, running projects to introduce students to the idea of working for themselves. I am absolutely passionate about working with young people to help them to find their way in business. I love sharing in the dreams, plans and expectations of budding entrepreneurs, and it's been a privilege to be an entrepreneur in residence at Leicester for the last year and a half, and to be there at the start of the journey into business for so many University of Leicester students. Your degree is a key which can open not just one door, but many. Which door you choose, or how many doors, is up to you. What I've learned is that you should never, ever give up, and never let others determine your life for you. Stick to your dreams. Dream big. What's the worst that can happen? Decide what is the worst, and can you manage that risk? And if you can, then just go for it. Just do it. What you need in business, what you need in life in general, is tenacity. You need to develop the ethic of hard work. And to be true, you need a little bit of serendipity as well. Serendipity and luck has played a large part in my life in being at the right place at the right time, being with the right people who were able to guide and assist me. But you do need that hard graft, and you do need the tenacity of never giving up. I managed to overcome the barriers that I encountered along my way. However, I didn't do it by myself, and would like to use this opportunity to thank the people who stood alongside me and supported me throughout. My mother, my sisters, my brother, my cousins, my friends, my co-directors at the Cooperative and Social Enterprise Agency, and my husband and daughters. I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. When I sat where you're sitting more than 30 years ago, I had no idea that I would one day be accepting a doctorate for my contribution to business. I look forward to meeting some of you in a few years' time when you're up here yourselves, collecting your doctorate, hopefully in business. I'll press that point. And I hope it will show that at least one person here today listened to me and considered entrepreneurship as a route in life, and that you will help me in proving my daughter wrong and show that at least one of you listened today, and if so, I will be grateful. However, in the meantime, may I reiterate just how delighted and privileged I am to receive the award of Doctor of Laws. I thank the university for recognising me in this way, and I thank you for being so welcoming in allowing me to speak with you. I am honoured, and I thank you.